right, well, thank you, Greg. Ooh, that's loud. Thank you, Greg and Rob and Lenny, of course, and good morning, everybody. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to kick off this wonderful session. All of you guys have put together what looks like a really great agenda, and from somebody in the industry, we really appreciate that you guys step forward and do something like that. And I'm looking forward to meeting many of you in the next 3 days. I'll be here the whole time. Campbell's team, where are you? There you go. So please reach out to my Campbell's team there, and hopefully we'll make some connections. All right, let me see if he told me green button, and I can't go wrong. There we go. Since I'm first up on the guest speaker list, I'm going to start by just welcoming you to Philly. This is a fantastic city with lots to offer, great sights, and terrific food, and cheesecakes, and cheesesteaks, actually. Both of them, actually. So please get out there and sample the local cuisine and some of the sites. If you're not from around here, it really is pretty impressive. All right, and some of you may not know, but this is Campbell's backyard. We're right across the bridge, Ben Franklin Bridge. We've been there in Camden, New Jersey for about 100 years, serving up some of America's favorite foods. So Campbell soups, good, everybody? Yeah, all right. VA juice and Pepperidge Farm. Goldfish, Milanos, everything you love. All right. So enough about us. There we go. Let's get into this. So here's what keeps me awake at night and what I want to talk to you guys about. It's this one big question. How do we engage with consumers in a meaningful and relevant way? Think about that. This is what my team and I wrestle with every single day. It's a timeless question, something that marketers and insights professionals have been providing answers to forever. So it's not a new question, but I'll tell you that the answers today need to be new. We need to challenge ourselves in a different way moving forward. In the past, life was simple. The living room looked like this. It pretty much looked like my living room when I was growing up. So when you asked yourself the question, how do we engage with consumers in a meaningful and relevant way, the answers were pretty simple and straightforward. You can find them all at home together, gathered around the TV. But lots of things have changed since then. Basically, it went from this to this. If we're at home and happen to be together, we're now in our own little digital world. And if the TV is on, 18% of us will be surfing the web with a mobile device. 56% will be using the computer. 37% will be texting friends. Overall, 3/4 of the time that we're watching TV, we're also using some digital device. So now, ask yourself the big question. How do we connect with consumers in a meaningful and relevant way in this context? And you can appreciate how the answers of the past decades are no longer relevant in today's world. Digital technology and all of its devices have become integrated and integral to consumers' lives. And they're resetting expectations for consumers on how they interact with brands, their products, and their services. The usage stats are amazing. I'm sure you've read most of them already. But look at this. Kids are more likely to own a smartphone than a book. Facebook is blamed in 20% of divorces. And almost half of us use a mobile device while in the bathroom. So think about that. And here's a little known stat. How many of you are 18 to 35 years old? Raise your hand. Okay. 36% of you will check your Facebook immediately after having sex. It's a bit much for a Monday morning, I get it, I get it. But the point here is that now you know how integrated digital technology is in people's lives. And the number of digital options keeps growing. It's daunting and empowering. Every day you hear about a new device, a new app, a new community, or a new service. You can hardly keep up with them. It's almost impossible to keep up with them. And if you cast your mind out 15 years, let's say, you can imagine the wave of technology that's headed our way and how digital technology will significantly change all aspects of our daily lives, our personal lives, of course, but our professional lives for sure. There we go. Already, you can see digital technology and devices influencing the entire path to purchase, from living to planning to shopping and to experiencing. The new technologies and applications are changing the way consumers get information, how they plan, and how they make choices. So to thrive in this new world, it's going to take a whole new set of answers to that big, timeless question. And at Campbell's, we think that success in this new consumer and marketplace context can be thought of much like how you think of your own personal health and wellness. We need to build strength, muscle, endurance, and speed. It's all about getting fit, and in this case, getting digitally fit. And we think getting digitally fit is essential for my company and my insights function to be successful in the future. We have to be as digitally fit as our consumers, or even more so. So much like health and wellness, to be truly successful in getting fit, you have to make it a lifestyle choice. So that means at Campbell's, we're committed to getting digitally fit for the long term. It's something that we're focused on in how we gather insights, the programs we're putting in place in the marketplace, and even the skills that we're building in our employee base. But we recognize that this isn't a one-time event. It's like personal training. It takes a daily commitment. You can't take a day off. Our consumers don't, so we can't. We need to match their tempo. And that's why I believe digitally fit companies have an everyday commitment, not a seasonal one. And from an insight standpoint, every day we're evaluating new tools, opening up new partnerships, and trying new ways of operating. So it truly is about being wired for digital. At Campbell's, we're open to new ways of thinking and doing. We are choicefully experimenting and trying out new things in both marketing and insights and seeing what works best, much like the consumer does. We're gathering insights very differently than we were just 5 years ago, and I promise you, we will gather them very differently 5 years from now. We are moving fast into a world of instant, on-demand access and interaction and feedback with our consumers, and I personally plan to leverage that. I will not be waiting for questionnaires to be tabulated or data to be cleaned and delivered. Soon, I expect to be able to get a deep understanding and insights into consumers' attitudes and behaviors at a moment's notice. So those of you in the audience that are vendors, I'm asking you, help me get there. Even our employees are being wired for digital so that they can get fit. We've swapped out their BlackBerries for iPhones because that's what the consumers have. We have a digital fit kits going out to all employees, which have the latest devices for them to experience and play with. And we have a Genius Bar being envisioned in our cafeteria. It's pretty cool. But at the risk of carrying this analogy just a bit farther, we all need to avoid digital dieting. So what do I mean by this? I mean that somehow getting digitally fit can't be like the latest cleansing diet craze. It's a strategic imperative that requires long-term planning, commitment, and sustained resources by any company. So if you boil it down, here's what I'm hoping that you'll take away from our few minutes together. My messages are as much about how we're thinking about it at Campbell's, but equally, it's a challenge to all of you in the industry. So the first message is Campbell's is getting digitally fit. I challenge all of you in the insights industry to make sure that you're fit as well. 2, we are always looking to engage and connect in consumers' lives in a meaningful and relevant way, especially using technology. So help me do that. 3, we're spending an increasing amount of time at Campbell's anticipating and preparing for the future as we live in the moment. And I think all of us in the industry need to look further out, 10 to 15 years, so that we can make better decisions today to set us up for success in the future. 4, I've already said my team is constantly experimenting and changing the way we gather insights. I think all of us in the industry need to do more to do this. And last, I'm looking for new solutions in insights and activation. If you're a vendor out there, don't come to me with another generic approach or tool. I expect you to come to me with a new solution that's going to help me grow my business. All right, so living in this new world is, there we go, it's like training for a marathon. It takes commitment to get fit and endurance to stay the course. But here's the trick. We need to run this marathon at a sprinter's pace. We need to keep pace with our consumers and their rate of digital adoption in their lives in order to remain meaningful and relevant to them. And so that means speed wins. There you go. Here to answer any questions. Enjoy the conference.
All right. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Having run one marathon and only one
That's one more than me.
ever, it will always be only one more than you.
Okay.
Running at the sprinter's pace is the real challenge there.
It is.
The commitment is doable. It's going to take a lot of effort to keep that at that sprinter's pace. We do have time for a couple of questions. And we have people with microphones that will run to you if you raise your hand and have a question.
There's a gentleman in the back over there.
We've got a question up front here.
Oh, there's one back there.
Oh, back here, sorry.
Don Merrick, let me just ask you, getting digitally fit, is your focus more on, since you're such a huge company, so successful, is it dealing with your distributors or the end consumers? And I also suspect when you say you give everybody iPhones and things, that would be really help your distribution and so on and so forth. So are you focused mostly on the end consumer or your wholesalers and operations?
So when I was referring to digitally fit, it's both internal with our employee base to make sure that they are equipped to operate in the same way that the consumers are, as well as we go out to understand the consumers and insights and then try to activate in the marketplace. So it's both of those. And so my challenge to any vendor that works with us is how can we use technology, emerging technology. Yes.
We have a question up front.
Yeah, that's pretty loud.
It's just for the recording. Sorry.
Sorry.
My apologies.
You've put forth quite a challenge to the vendors.
Yep.
What are the your most dreaded buzzwords that just make you crazy when you hear an initial vendor pitch?
That's interesting. You know, I don't know if there's any one of them, but you hear them all over the place, and you kind of, and a little flag goes off in your head. Is, you know, people just come in. Sometimes you just think they've read a presentation from somebody else, and they've picked up terms, and they figure they should just say whatever terms they are, and so I'm more interested in, do you really have a differentiated solution that's going to impact my business versus you just barking out some. The number of vendors that have come in and said, big data. All right, well, what do you mean by that? What do you have? Why should I pay attention? So, yep.
We have a question here in the front. Yeah, the mic's coming.
So Chuck, thank you for your talk. You mentioned that you're interested in instant on-demand feedback and input, and that you're not interested in waiting for questionnaires and coding and tabs. So how much of your work today is in that kind of traditional survey space, and how much not?
How much would you say, guys? Maybe 20%? Yeah,
20% is in the traditional?
20. I'm saying that 20% is where I want to be. The other 75 is still rooted in ways of the past. And 5 years from now, I'm telling you, I'm not going to be doing that. Any one of you that is still rooted in doing market research in the way that we've done in the past will not be in business.
I think we have time for one more question.
So, George Corrigan, again, thank you.
Hi, George.
Great talk. You were talking about looking out 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And frankly, it's tricky to look out maybe even 15 months and anticipate. Yeah. And I'm curious how you manage the trade-off, because I know that you have ROI quarterly objectives against looking out, say, 15 years. Because when you look out that far, the world changes so significantly that some of the investments that might make sense then wouldn't make sense now. They might appear to be insightful, or they might have just appeared to be sort of like, have an ROI that's 10 years out.
Yeah, so so here's the way to think about it. I mean, I do believe you can look out 10 to 15 years. There's institutes, we work with the Institute of the Future, who's in business to look out 10, 15, 20 years. There's others. What you're not looking for the solution that's available today. What you're looking at is, what's the disruption that I can see 10 to 15 years from now, and then what are the options that might occur because of that disruption? And then you're backing it up and saying, how do I prepare myself today choicefully and with a recognition that I've got a quarterly dividend to pay, right? How do I prepare myself? What decisions do I need to make today to set me up to win moving forward? It's interesting, we just wrapped up some work with the Institute of the Future, and much of what they identify as being 15 years out, you can see signals today. You can see signals. All right?
So, thank you very much.
Brilliant.